The jungle air was thick, almost drinkable, a palpable presence that coated your skin. It hung heavy, saturated with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. You could practically taste the humidity, a strange earthy flavor that filled your lungs with each breath. I came here to escape the city's chaos, the relentless noise and the suffocating crowds. I needed to disconnect, to find a place where the only sounds were those of nature, where the only light was filtered through the leaves. I sought to find something raw and real, something untouched by human hands. A place where the wild still reigned, where the ancient rhythms of life played out undisturbed. I yearned to connect with something primal, something deep within myself that had been buried beneath layers of civilization. The green canopy above was my cathedral, a vast verdant ceiling that filtered the sunlight into dappled patterns on the forest floor. It was a space of reverence, a place to contemplate the immensity and beauty of the natural world. The insect symphony, my choir, a constant chorus of chirps, buzzes, and clicks that filled the air with a vibrant energy. It was a reminder that I was not alone, that I was surrounded by a teeming world of life, all interconnected and interdependent. For hours I wandered deeper and deeper into the emerald labyrinth, losing myself in the winding trails and the endless green. The path seemed to stretch on forever, beckoning me further into the heart of the jungle. I was feeling liberated and alive, shedding the weight of my everyday worries with each step. The jungle seemed to breathe with me, its energy coursing through my veins, filling me with a sense of boundless possibility. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the shadows stretched long and distorted, transforming the familiar landscape into something alien and unsettling. And the peace soured, replaced by a creeping unease that prickled at the back of my neck. The air grew heavy with a sense of foreboding, a feeling that I was no longer welcome here. The air grew heavy, pressing down on me like a physical weight, making it difficult to breathe. The humidity seemed to intensify, clinging to my skin like a shroud. The jungle's vibrant sounds faded into an eerie silence, leaving only the pounding of my own heart in my ears. The usual symphony of insects and birds was replaced by an unnerving stillness, as if the entire forest was holding its breath. My heart raced, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs, fueled by a growing sense of dread. I felt exposed, vulnerable, as if I were being watched by unseen eyes. The solitude turned menacing, no longer a comforting escape but a terrifying isolation. The vastness of the jungle, which had once felt liberating, now felt oppressive and threatening. I tried to shake it off, to convince myself that it was just my imagination, that the darkness was playing tricks on my mind. I told myself there was nothing to fear, that I was safe. But the feeling clung to me, a persistent, gnawing anxiety that refused to be ignored. It was a primal fear, a deep-seated instinct that warned me of danger. A cold, invisible presence, a sense of being watched by something ancient and unknowable. It was a feeling that transcended logic, a visceral certainty that I was not alone. The jungle was no longer welcoming. Its beauty had transformed into something sinister, its tranquility replaced by an unsettling tension. The air crackled with an unspoken threat. It was mysterious, unsettling, a place where the boundaries between reality and illusion blurred. The shadows danced and shifted, playing tricks on my eyes, making it impossible to discern what was real and what was not. I realized I was no longer just an explorer, a curious observer of the natural world. My presence here had consequences, and I was beginning to understand the weight of my intrusion. I was an intruder, a trespasser in a realm that did not belong to me. I had crossed a line, and now I was paying the price. And something knew I was there, something ancient and powerful, and it was not happy. I could feel its gaze upon me, cold and unwavering, piercing through the darkness. The silence was unnatural, suffocating. The jungle's usual chorus had vanished, replaced by the pounding of my heart. Then a twig snapped to my left. I froze, every muscle tense. Another snap, closer this time, followed by a deep, guttural grunt. It wasn't any animal I knew. It vibrated with intelligence. I felt eyes on me, an intense gaze from the shadows. My instincts screamed to run, but I was rooted by fear and curiosity. The feeling of being hunted was undeniable. The jungle's rules had shifted. I was no longer the observer. I was the observed. The hunter had become the hunted. The jungle held its breath, a symphony of unseen life surrounding me. Curiosity, a relentless tide, began to overpower the initial wave of fear that had washed over me. I had to know what stalked me, what creature dared to break the silence of this ancient place. The unknown pulled me forward, a siren's call in the heart of the wilderness. I moved cautiously toward the sounds, each footstep measured, each breath held. The air grew heavy, thick with anticipation and the scent of damp earth. I found a massive branch, freshly snapped, lying across the path like a fallen giant. The force required to break something this size was immense. The break was too high and too clean, too deliberate for any known animal that roamed these lands. It was a display of raw power, a statement etched into the very fabric of the jungle. Then a trail, trampled undergrowth, a clear path of destruction leading deeper into the green abyss, and enormous humanoid footprints pressed into the soft earth. They were twice the size of my own, dwarfing my hiking boot, a stark reminder of the scale of whatever had made them. I knelt, tracing the outline with a trembling finger, stunned by the sheer size and the implications of what I was seeing. A pungent, musky odor filled the air, clinging to the back of my throat, a primal scent that spoke of something ancient and untamed. It was wild, untamed, yet strangely familiar, like a memory buried deep within my DNA. A whisper from a time when humans were not the apex predators. Every sign, every broken branch, every colossal footprint pointed to one impossible conclusion, a conclusion that defied logic and reason. My heart pounded against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat echoing the rising fear within me. As I realized I was following the trail of a legend, a myth whispered in hushed tones around campfires, a creature thought to exist only in stories. The evidence imprinted in the mud and etched into the landscape was undeniable, a tangible link to something extraordinary. I was stepping into a world where monsters might be real, where the line between reality and folklore blurred, and where the hunter could easily become the hunted. The trail, winding and overgrown, finally led to a clearing, a small pocket of sunlight amidst the dense canopy. After days of relentless pursuit, pushing through the thick undergrowth, I had arrived, and there it stood, a figure that defied explanation, a being ripped from the pages of myth and legend. It was an impossible sight. 8 feet tall, a towering behemoth covered in dark, matted hair that seemed to absorb the very light around it. Its sheer size was overwhelming, a testament to a power I could scarcely comprehend. Its back was to me, offering a glimpse of immense shoulders and powerful limbs. I could see the muscles rippling beneath the thick fur, but as it slowly turned, pivoting with a grace that belied its size, I saw a face, a countenance more human than beast, a startling revelation, ancient, intelligent, and profoundly sad. The eyes held a depth of knowledge, a weight of ages, and a sorrow that resonated deep within my soul. There was no malice in its gaze, no aggression, only a profound curiosity, a gentle inquiry into my presence. We stared at each other, locked in a silent communion, a moment of shared understanding that transcended language. Two beings from different worlds, separated by evolution and understanding, yet connected in this singular, improbable encounter. Fear mixed with awe, a potent cocktail of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. The air crackled with an almost palpable energy. I felt the creature's powerful presence, a tangible force that radiated from its very being, a dominance born of the wild. My hand instinctively went to my camera, the tool I usually relied on to document the world, to capture the extraordinary. But I couldn't bring myself to break the moment's sanctity, to shatter the fragile connection that had formed between us. This wasn't about proof, about capturing a photograph to validate my experience. It was about the experience itself, about bearing witness to something truly remarkable. The creature stepped closer, closing the distance between our worlds, its movements deliberate and measured. Radiating strength and an almost unnerving calm, it exuded a sense of peace that belied its immense power. I was undeniably in the presence of something truly ancient, a relic of a forgotten time, a guardian of the wild. It belonged to the earth in a way I never could, a seamless integration with the natural world that spoke of a deep and abiding connection. My survival instinct kicked in. I stumbled back, breaking the spell. The creature watched, then sighed. A sound of ancient weariness. With impossible grace, it melted into the jungle, vanishing without a trace. The clearing was empty, the jungle's sounds slowly returning. I stood trembling, replaying the encounter in my mind. The evidence remained. Footprints, snapped branches, the fading scent. I had come face to face with a legend and survived, forever changed. I left the jungle, but a part of me remains in that clearing, locked in the gaze of the impossible.